The energy that morning was already different. BTS had scheduled a private filming session at HYB's main studio, a recording meant to be casual, intimate, and unscripted. Cameras were rolling, but the atmosphere was relaxed. The members were dressed comfortably, joking around, sipping their drinks, stretching as they prepared to sit and talk. IT was the kind of content fans loved the most. Raw, genuine, and spontaneous. Taehyung walked in with a warm smile, wearing a soft sweater and loose pants. His hair fell naturally, giving him that effortless V-aura fans adored. Jungkook, on the other hand, looked energized. He had just finished a workout before filming and still had a faint glisten of sweat. He was playful, mischievous, and ready to tease anyone within arm's reach. The atmosphere was perfect, but no one, not even the staff, knew that the calmness was about to be shattered. The filming started just like any other BTS behind-the-scenes sit-down. The members discussed their recent projects, upcoming plans, funny behind-the-scenes stories, and even some embarrassing anecdotes from their trainee days. Eventually, the conversation shifted toward personal growth, how they had changed over the years, how fame shaped them, and how they handled the pressures of the industry. Taehyung began speaking thoughtfully, as he always did when expressing something real. "I think, as we get older, we understand ourselves better," he said softly, twirling the string of his hoodie. "And we start admitting things we used to hide." Jungkook, sitting next to him, nodded curiously. "What kind of things?" he asked, smiling with genuine interest. Taehyung paused. His eyes shifted to Jungkook for a brief second. The air suddenly felt different. Even the staff behind the cameras felt it, a subtle tension, a shift in the atmosphere that made everyone instinctively hold their breath. Taehyung inhaled deeply, and then he said it. "My biggest realization lately is something Jungkook has always asked me about." Jungkook blinked, taken aback. "Me?" he said with a surprised laugh. "What did I ask you?" Taehyung stared at him, not jokingly, not teasingly, but seriously, almost intensely. "You asked me why I always avoided talking about my true feelings," Taehyung said, "and I finally understand the answer." The room fell completely silent. Jungkook leaned in slightly, confused but attentive. "And what's the answer?" he asked softly. Taehyung's voice dropped, not dramatically, but with a sincerity that pierced through the air like a sudden spark. "Because the person I had feelings for was too close." Jungkook froze. His fingers tightened where they rested on his knee. Taehyung continued, eyes never leaving Jungkook's. "I was afraid, because the person was right beside me the whole time." The world stopped. Jungkook looked at him, truly looked, as if he wasn't sure whether to speak, laugh, or process the sentence that had just shattered the room's atmosphere. Even the staff didn't dare move. Taehyung had just dropped a reveal so heavy, so emotionally charged, that it instantly became one of the most shocking moments BTS had ever captured on camera for Jungkook. The moment hit like a tidal wave. He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. His throat tightened, his heartbeat accelerated. For the first time in a long time, Jungkook didn't know what to say. Taehyung watched him quietly, patiently, almost calmly. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't playful teasing. This was real. The silence stretched long enough for the staff to exchange glances, uncertain whether they should intervene or keep rolling. Finally, Jungkook looked away, exhaling sharply. He stood up, without a word, without a reaction. Without even looking back at Taehyung, he simply walked away. The moment Jungkook stepped out, the tension exploded. Staff whispered. The director scratched his head, unsure whether to cut the scene. One of the members muttered under his breath, "What just happened?" Taehyung sat still, expression unreadable, almost relief, as if finally letting the truth out had lifted a heavy weight off his shoulders. Regardless of the reaction, the cameras kept rolling, but Taehyung didn't speak, not for a long time. Word of the shocking moment leaked, not officially, but through whispers among staff, rumors spreading through corridors, and eventually a small online account posting vague spoilers about a major emotional moment between Taehyung and Jungkook during filming. Army exploded instantly. Millions of fans jumped into theories. Is it true? What did Taehyung say? Why did Jungkook walk out? Is something happening between them? Within hours, the internet turned into a global storm. The hashtags trended. Hashtag team reveal, hashtag Jungkook walks out, hashtag Taehyung shock, hashtag BTS drama clips didn't even exist yet, but the fandom was already shaken. Jungkook didn't stop walking until he reached the far end of the hallway, a quiet corner of the HYB building where no cameras were allowed and no staff usually passed through during filming hours. He pressed his back against the wall, exhaling sharply. His mind wasn't just racing, it was spiraling. Taehyung's words repeated in his head like a loop he couldn't shut off. The person I had feelings for was too close. The person was right beside me. Jungkook closed his eyes. Was he imagining things? Had he misunderstood? Could Taehyung really have meant him? His chest tightened. Not with fear, but with something complicated, something he wasn't prepared to confront. He had always considered Taehyung special, someone he relied on, someone he felt connected to in a way he couldn't explain to anyone, sometimes not even to himself. But this was different. This was real in a way that shook the foundation beneath him. Footsteps approached slowly. Jungkook didn't have to open his eyes to know who it was. Taehyung stopped a few steps away, keeping his distance, respecting Jungkook's space. He didn't rush. He didn't push. He didn't demand a response. He simply said, in a calm and steady voice, "Jungkook, you didn't have to walk away." Jungkook opened his eyes, staring straight ahead at the floor. "I didn't know what else to do," he admitted quietly. Taehyung took a small breath. "I didn't say it to pressure you," he said. "I said it because I was tired of pretending." Jungkook finally looked up and the confusion in his eyes was raw. "Pretending what?" he asked. Taehyung's gaze softened. "That you don't mean more to me than anyone else." Jungkook's breath caught. A heavy silence filled the space between them, not awkward but electric. "You don't have to respond now," Taehyung said gently. "I just needed you to know." This time, Jungkook didn't walk away, but he couldn't respond either, not yet. Back in the studio, the atmosphere was chaotic. Jimin was pacing. Hoseok looked worried. Namjoon rubbed his temples, processing everything at lightning speed. Yoongi, surprisingly calm, only said, "They need to talk alone. Let's give them space." Jin exhaled dramatically. "This is what happens when you put two emotionally constipated men next to each other," he muttered. The staff didn't know whether to laugh or panic. And then it happened. HYB officially released the video. The full conversation, raw and unedited. The confession, the silence. Jungkook walking out. The members' reactions, everything. It became the fastest BTS behind-the-scenes upload to hit 50 million views. Comments exploded. Fan edits flooded every platform, every language, every time zone. The world was captivated. Some people cried. Some cheered. Some argued. But one thing was undeniable. It became one of the most iconic moments in the group's entire history. HYB eventually announced a short press release. The members shared an honest and personal moment during filming. "We appreciate fans' support and respect for their privacy." But fans weren't satisfied. Millions demanded a live stream, a statement, a reaction, anything. Jungkook was the first to break the silence. During a late-night Wever stream, he spoke carefully, choosing his words with the delicacy of someone who understood the gravity of the situation. "I know everyone has been talking about that moment," he said. "And I know you're curious. But what happened between us, it was real. It was honest. And it's something we're figuring out together." ARMY went absolutely feral, but Jungkook wasn't done. And he took a breath. "I don't regret walking away. Because that moment made me realize something I couldn't ignore anymore." Chat exploded. He smiled softly, a smile that hinted more than it said. "That's all for now," he finished gently. "But thank you for caring." It was vague, but emotional, and it only fueled more theories. Taehyung wasn't far behind. He posted a late-night Instagram story. A single sentence, "Some truths are heavy, but they free you." Fans immediately understood what it referred to. The story gained millions of shares in minutes. After Jungkook's stream ended, he slipped quietly out of the dorm and walked to Taehyung's room. He knocked gently. Taehyung opened the door almost immediately, as if he had been waiting. "You watched the stream?" Jungkook asked. Taehyung nodded. "And the Instagram story?" Jungkook added. Taehyung nodded again. He stepped aside, letting Jungkook enter. "Are you okay?" Taehyung asked softly. Jungkook took a moment before answering. I'm okay, he said. I'm just thinking a lot. Taehyung smiled. You always think a lot. Jungkook huffed a quiet laugh. And you always feel a lot. Taehyung shrugged. I guess that's why we fit. Jungkook looked at him. Really looked, and something in his expression softened completely. Tae, he said, can I tell you something? Anything. I'm not scared anymore. Taehyung froze. Jungkook stepped closer, slowly, deliberately. And whatever this is, Jungkook continued, voice low and sincere. I want to try. With you. Taehyung's eyes widened, stunned, speechless, overwhelmed. Really? He whispered.